I have 2 exclusive videos over on Nebula right now for you to check out, so use my link and watch me react to someone else's video. But it's a secret who it is. Is this the most iconic title treatment of all time? Possibly. Either way, my personal favorite thing about it is that right at this moment, every single letter is represented with one line and it's completely symmetrical. And it builds symmetrically, only ever taking one step outside the symmetry to set up the next symmetrical piece, and I promise that's the last time I'll use the S word in this video. Also, I love that it probably takes around until the end breaking the crap. It takes that long for many people to figure out what they're even looking at, which really plays into the mystery that's about to unfold. Not only that, but the original idea was flesh and bones making the letters, and goodness did we end up with something so much more elegant yet understated. One of the best things about this movie is how simple the setup of the plot is. 7 people bringing some rocks back to Earth. What could possibly go wrong? It's hard to beat the vibes that miniature gives you. We're getting closer and closer, but the tangibility is unmatched to this day. And the Nostromo still has one of the most distinct ship interiors ever conceived in H.R. Giger's to thank for much of it. Ron Cobb was responsible for the human interiors, but that unique alien-looking stuff was all Giger. Everything is damp and cold-looking, sterile, but also industrial. It isn't until we hit the crew quarters and see our humans that there's any warmth to the ship at all. Although the warmth doesn't apply to poor Lambert's Lilu strap. Fun fact, they were originally all going to be naked, but John Hurt is notoriously, well, they just may have had some issues with the MPAA because not all anatomy is created equally. Also, I was in my late teens when I bought the Alien DVD box set and watched this movie for the first time, and it impresses me to this day how eerie this entire ship tour is without anything even remotely scary happening. There's plenty of creep in the main theme, but it's not till the flutes start dancing around that it really settles into our bones. So none of the crew of the Nostromo were technically no names when this movie came out. You could probably argue that Tom Skerritt was the most famous and Sigourney Weaver the least, but many people knew John Hurt, and it's a stroke of genius to have Kane wake up first and actually be the only one we see get out of his pod. The actual hero of the movie isn't even shown in the cryosleep scene, although I do believe that is her arm.
Anybody ever tell you look dead, man?
Oof, gonna regret that one later. For a little while at least. You know, while Parker's alive.
Parker? Can I finish my coffee? It's the only thing good on the ship.
And when we were officially introduced to the crew, we realized they're just normal people doing jobs and complaining about the same stuff everyone complains about.
We deserve full shares, right, baby?
I feel that the bonus situation has never been on an equitable level.
Well, you get what you contracted for like everybody else.
I love this failed high five. There's nothing more real than that. And again, Ripley is the last face we see.
This is commercial towing vehicle Nostromo.
There are moments that obviously connect us to the humanity of the crew. Their banter, salary grievances, Ripley trying to contact traffic control reminds us that they're just Earthlings trying to get back home. But something Scott did that sets this movie apart is skip Aaron Hannon's favorite part of horror movies.
Do you like the early parts of the movies where they have a perfect family and everything?
Those purely comfortable human moments that we often get in first acts. The crew of the Nostromo never really seems safe. They're always in the dark. The music is never comforting. It's either creeptacular or absent. And when it's absent, we're always being given the feeling that we're in on something that they aren't aware of yet. Which we are. They're gonna die.
Intercepted a transmission of unknown origin. She got us up to check it out.
And again, this lore-dense universe starts out so simply with an innocent distress call.
Parker, will you just listen to the man?
Man, Ash almost gave it up with that look.
What about gravity?
0.86.
You can walk on it.
For comparison, the moon's gravity is less than 0.2, and they walked on that too. More of a bounce. 0.86 would be like immediately losing 20 to 30 pounds depending on your starting weight on Earth. It's hard to make out, but you hear multiple voices in the orbit insertion sequence, including Parker's, which just goes to show that his non-equal shares are just as valuable to the operation of the ship as anyone else's, and he and Brett are right. Gonna beat the old dead horse of alien discourse here, but the lighting is always so intriguing. They're often lit from this low angle, adding to the huddled around a campfire for survival vibe of this movie. They also use the computer monitors to illuminate faces, again drawing our attention to how dark the interior of the ship is. There's always this feeling that darkness is lurking behind them, and it truly makes the film. This movie really encapsulates the beauty in the grotesque, and that's right down to the awkward way this strut makes contact with the surface. It's really the message of the entire movie that they are unprepared for what's coming, and while we're way in the future, they still deal with the stuff that sets us back, like unhospitable environments, rough landings, and beat-up old equipment. And while I love the smooth landings and bright bridges of Star Trek, it's very clear that the bare minimum of safety and amenities has been provided by Weyland-Yutani.
This is 17 hours, fella.
At least 25 hours.
Engineers, man, don't even need fake Scottish accents to really milk it.
What? What did you say, Rip?
If you have any trouble, I'll be on the bridge.
Hey, Ripley, come back here!
Something you might have missed is that Parker is 100% just screwing with Ripley. He has control of the steam vents blasting. Lambert gets a lot of criticism, but man, I'm with her. She doesn't want to be there. She never did. She's just trying to keep her cool.
How far away from the source of transmission?
Under 2,000 meters. Walking distance?
Even in the 2100s, not everyone knows the metric system. It's about 1.25 miles. Loosening them joints, Ash? Gonna try to pass Deckard's replicant test later? Nothing held back with how unforgiving and hostile LV-426 comes across. The wind sounds murderous and it looks to be raining shrapnel. Orange cats are the best cats. I won't be accepting questions at this time. We get an idea that Lambert is a little extra stressed by how often her helmet vents, meaning she's breathing more heavily, but fun fact, Scarrett, Cartwright, and Hurt were almost murdered by that exhaust. Okay, slight exaggeration, but the helmets, which weren't supposed to leak the aerosol into the headspace, did in fact leak, and no one believed them at first, causing some near faintings. Making movies used to be fun. Derelict. Derelict! The lens flares out a constant feeling of confusion and disorientation. Yeah, appropriate facial expression.
Phones have been out way.
It's sort of amazing how many let's GTF out of here moments there are for Dallas, Lambert, and Kane. Like, this is a point of no return for sure if you decide to continue after you find a dead giant alien because something broke out of its insides. Whatever happens next is on you. But the truth is that these walls would have been my exit point. No, actually, humongous scary horseshoe ship. Y'all bag on Lambert, but she's the only sane one on the crew.
Let's get out of here. Let's get the hell out of here.
Also, you've seen my Prometheus and Covenant videos. You know I pretty much like the most recent lore, but I did also see this movie first, and the idea that the space jockey is part of the chair and so foreign to us is truly unnerving. Even knowing the truth as it is now, you can understand how terrifying this spectacle would be. What a face to haunt your dreams. And again, the lighting inside the derelict ship is what makes this all so striking and effective. The smoke that really pumped into the room and mini lights to highlight certain areas, all in an effort to capture the essence of Giger's original paintings.
You okay down there?
No, absolutely not okay. Do you see the walls? They're slimy and clearly crawling with actual evil.
And it's full of leathery objects like eggs or something.
You gotta love the science-minded people who wouldn't hear those words coming out of their own mouth and immediately do a 180. Like, we need those people for discoveries and stuff, but not me, not I. And I partially get it. It's an egg. Eggs mean babies, and if those which animal could you beat in a fight questionnaires that come up every few years where a non-zero number of men said they could beat a gorilla, a crocodile, a lion, or a bear in a fight are to be believed, Kane is doing what a lot of us would do. Honestly, it's a given to us now, probably in part because of this movie, that eggs can be really dangerous, but no one expects this. All that said, I will defend humans simply doing stupid stuff to my death. I'm fairly certain I even brought this scene up during my prequel movie videos because goodness, Kane. In what way were you qualified to get close to that slithery nightmare? It's dripping up. But a literal part of the narrative of this universe is that humans are at best stupid and at worst greedy. But fun fact, Ridley's hands inside a pair of rubber gloves is what's making the movement inside the egg. Slowed down, you can see the facehugger coming towards Kane's face and even the proboscis coming out, which was actually sheep intestines.
Ripley, this is an order. Open that hatch right now. Do you hear me?
Yes, I read you. The answer is negative.
I love this scene and I love Ripley. This is truly an insane way to introduce the hero of the movie, the stickler for those pesky rules, the anti-Steve Rogers, and she's right for so many reasons it's hilarious. But surprise, surprise, the man programmed to get some aliens breaks the rules. Love that Ripley is painted as a Karen and Ash the altruistic hero when the reality is the opposite. Even more interesting that Ridley brings this exact scenario up again in Prometheus and flips it. Vickers is the baddie this time. Well, not like David is really a good guy. Huh, interesting.
Why don't you guys freeze him?
Okay, Lambert and Parker are sane. I mean, it would have been worse for Earth, but he's still right.
What the f is going on here?
Hey, slapping the old Bechdel test right on out of there. Wait, is friendship necessary to pass the test? I feel like it's supposed to be. Also, the slap was real and Weaver did not know it was coming. Those are fingers, bruh. Nope. God, the pool of sweat around Kane's suprasternal notch. Where did that anatomy knowledge come from?
Now, we're assuming it's feeding him oxygen. If we remove it, could kill him.
The looks from Ian Holm, like an old Bilbo just trying to get one more little hold of his precious facehugger. And this is also just a next level creature detail. Even when you hurt them, they'll hurt you back and worse. I'm sure it's obvious to all of us, but nice little insert to make it clear that they won't be safe even in their spacesuits.
Which gives him a prolonged resistance to adverse environmental conditions. Said nothing.
That's funny. What does it mean?
Making him a tough little son of a bitch.
And you let him in.
This conversation is fantastic. Ash is annoyed both because he knows what Ripley is getting at, and also because she doesn't even know the half of it and she's completely expendable to him. Also, she interrupted him examining what kinda looks like an embryo inside Kane, which is likely why he turns the monitor off and stops her from looking through the microscope. It's crazy how far behind the humans are. The low angle camera position with just enough wobble to make us feel like we're seeing the facehugger's POV.
Kane?
Dang, 2 jump scares in less than a minute, and the first was a fake out. What a way to keep us guessing. Not to mention the silence and the length of this scene. We're almost an hour in, and other than Kane, no one else has even had a brush with death, so we're prepared for the worst. Oh sure, now you care about quarantines. Again, real stuff, oysters and fish parts.
I think it's safe to assume it isn't a zombie.
Is it? Is it though? Is there anything safe to assume? I have found that there is not. Also, the truth is so much worse, which is both funny and another subtle hint that Ash has ulterior motives. The tagline is, in space, no one can hear you scream, so they really should have just stayed on the planet.
I mean, he's got a disease. Why don't we stop it where it is?
Right.
Whenever he says anything, you say right, Brett. You know that?
Right.
Classic Brett. Also that he's rolling another cigarette while still smoking one. Chain smoking is labor intensive with rollies.
A horrible dream about smothering?
He's probably fine. I love how quickly the unease fades. Something I never really noticed on previous watches is how sketchy Ash often is. Kane is choking and he's just casually looking on. And he's the science officer. And the chestburster was born. I mean, actually born. I'm just describing things. Also, he looks so stupid and nothing anyone ever says will change my mind. I mean, maybe it has something to do with seeing Spaceballs first, but it genuinely didn't matter because he was new and covered in our, for all intents and purposes, main character's viscera and blood. The way it explodes out, the sound design, the screams from the crew, it's all so jarring when the movie has been completely red blood free and even the violence has been minimal. What an absolute iconic shocker.
Oh, God!
And as we've learned, Veronica Cartwright's response is 100% real. The majority of the cast didn't know exactly what was about to happen.
No, don't touch it! Don't touch it!
Oh my God, he admitted!
Anybody want to say anything?
No one has anything to say, which again is the height of realism. Sorry, Kane, but at this point, we're all concerned with our own skin.
What the hell are you doing, man?
It's a cat.
We had to bag it, man. Now we might pick it up on the track again.
It's rough to be the stupid one, but a lapse in judgment like that definitely seals your fate as number 2 to get snuffed out. Not usually a big gold room type guy, but this one is alright. You'd think the xenomorph would be the biggest surprise, but then we come across dripping water and chain wind chimes. And I know some might have the gut reaction, what is this room and why are there chains hanging in this futuristic ship? I mean, chains are for hoisting stuff. I always found it pretty believable. Also, the odds of condensation from temperature differences is pretty high. Also, I'm sorry, but have you felt the atmosphere they create with their shadows? This is the type of scene that could drag, just a dude walking around dark corridors looking for a cat. And the second you hear, you know he's done for. But you let Harry Dean Stanton do his thing in front of the camera and you get so much. The way he exposes his shadowed face to the bright light above. Fun fact, this moment was Harry's idea. I was tough on Brett, but this is just him. He's laid back, Joe Mechanic, he's many of us. And we know what's coming, whether we noticed old Xenomorph XX121 in the next cut or not, we're on the edge of our seats. But goodness gracious, there he is. He stands out now, but you have to remember that no one had seen the full-grown Xenomorph yet. And see what I mean about the darkness behind them? I also love this fake-out moment a little earlier where Brett gets too close to the camera and we're just waiting for a blurry figure to drop down behind him. And then the most offensive extreme close-up. And it's just so much new information all at once. Their heads are huge now. They seem to drool mercury uncontrollably, which coincides with a sound I can only describe as styrofoam rubbing against a balloon made of a chalkboard. And they have a special little second mouth for head stabbing. Things just got bleak. He seems cold and unmoved, but orange cats are still the best. There's something about the cut to his eyes that makes the entire sequence so much more eerie.
Could Brett be alive? No.
Brutal honesty.
It's big.
Kane's son.
What an ice-cold statement that's actually extremely accurate as we find out in Alien Cubed later.
Parker, can you rig 3 or 4 incinerator units?
Ha! I know a code name for a flamethrower when I hear one. The hatches are such a nothing little addition that creates so much extra tension just by their metallic plates all sliding together with the grinding sound design. Oh, Ash, you hide it so well. Hugging, oh, no, sorry, murder, ah, crap.
I say that we abandon the ship. We get the shuttle and just get the hell out of here. We take our chances.
Again, she's literally right, and Ripley will agree with her in like less than 10 minutes. But the real question I have is how in the world is everyone not swayed by those piercing blues?
Will you listen to me, Parker? Shut up!
Hell yeah, Ripley, you tell him. Even more impressive given that we find out in a few minutes how close Ripley is to losing it as well. Turns out Mother is kind of a bitch. Whoa, the original Bilbo jump scare. Like I said, Ripley has been nailing the stoic leader since it was her only choice, even leaving Lambert in a puddle of tears without shedding one of her own. But now that she's learned that her rank is effectively meaningless compared to the primary objective, she lets herself break down for a second. Zorg? Oof, brutal. Always love the static shot of the handful of hair. I need you to prepare yourself for the weirdest way to suffocate someone. But also, it sort of plays into the whole sexual violence motif this movie has. It's never said aloud, but it's clear to all of us how the xenomorph was made, right?
What's it got down his throat?
I would suggest it's feeding him oxygen.
Not just oxygen, friendo, and it was not consensual to say the least. I like that Parker immediately clears up that he's not an alien. I mean, I doubt anyone heard him in theaters since Ian Holmes' head just popped off, but they tried.
It's a robot.
And still one of the weirdest android designs. What are the white balls everywhere? Why is he filled with milk? I don't know how everyone didn't immediately love Lambert. Saving the day while crying and screaming, she was a real one for that.
A second here.
And never for a second did I doubt that I was really looking at the severed head of an android. Ian Holmes' line delivery and his little twitches, the distortion in his voice, it's all pitch perfect.
How do we kill it?
You can't.
I mean, he's mostly right, but also you've tried absolutely nothing so far, which is kind of funny. Like, you were gonna burn it, but then Dallas didn't. But it's almost more terrifying that you still don't know what will affect it. Granted, the one thing they do know is that its blood will burn through the ship, so that eliminates quite a few weapons.
We're gonna blow up the ship. We'll take our chances in the shuttle.
But not sploding it. And sure, I'll cut Ripley some slack, because they are technically down one more crew member.
Just hope that somebody picks us up.
The shuttle won't take 4.
Honestly, at this point, I respect this decision, even if it was mostly for catharsis. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm an animal lover, but at some point you need to ask the question, how many jump scares is too many jump scares from someone else's pet? Look, I know it's not a quiet place up in here, but goodness, guys. How much noise do you think is the correct amount of noise when trying to escape the head-stabby monster? The slow building of the xenomorph sound design alerting us to it before Lambert has any clue. Ruthless. I'm sure you're all aware that the original alien was just a guy in a suit. Balaji Badeja nailed every moment. It really is an offensive amount of drool. Respect your salivary glands, bro. See what I was saying about the sexual violence? Rarely explicit, but always implied. And fun fact, those are Brett's legs. And now we hit a part of the movie with barely any dialogue because Ripley is about to embody everyone's worst fear. Alone in space. Fly Agaric is a hallucinogenic mushroom, and it's very appropriate next to the trip button. I guess it's good there are so many steps for a self-destruct, but goodness, that's a lot to remember for something you hope to never have to do. I love these brief human moments Sigourney gives us. She doesn't have much time to think or feel or mourn, but a task like this would give her just a quick moment to focus on all the bad a little more. And now that we know the alien could be anywhere, we are again questioning everything we see and can't see. Yeah, that's fair. Ripley's having a rough day in the director's cut. And I think it was probably fine to cut this from the theatrical. Aliens fills in a lot of these blanks. They originally had planned to play with the idea of the xenomorph being intelligent to a degree, even being attracted to Ripley at one point. But even without that stated explicitly, there's a special kind of terror in not knowing. Was it waiting here for her because it knew, or are its instincts just that good, or is it just a mindless walking murder machine? All bad options, and each possibility makes every one of Ripley's decisions even more fraught. Expectation subversion down to the wire and fails. That kind of becomes her catchphrase, doesn't it? It's so short and yet still one of the most iconic frames to come out of this film. Filthy, covered in some kind of moisture, sweat mixed with different liquids from the ship, the strain on her fingertips, it always puts my teeth on edge. And what a way to convey some geography to us with the strobe light again. Even if you're a little confused at this point, we know that the last time she saw the alien, the light on her face looked just like this. How many times can you save the cat in one movie? Apparently enough to write a book about. But what an ending to this movie, huh? 3 clean acts ending with a self-destruct explosion.
I got you.
Yeah, you sure did. Nothing to worry about now. Pets are underrated. She's not alone. Okay, back to reality. I love that the escape shuttle is covered in a bunch of stuff that looks just like the xenomorph. Smooth, shiny pads, long tubes, nightmare ship for her and us. Not to mention the actual xenomorph right there as she enters. Clever move with the shaky cam while still not cheating. It's so next level to have the alien just hiding there in frame for so long and still so easy to miss. Ripley's outfit obviously pulls some attention, but it is extremely unsettling to know that it was there but you did not see it. Oh, sorry, also Sigourney Weaver's workout routine? And with no dialogue, it's so fun to watch Ripley very clearly formulate a plan in her head as she climbs into the spacesuit. If you were ever curious why the xenomorph takes so long to get out of its little hidey hole, Ridley initially wanted them to have a very short lifespan, so it was just going in there to die. But it works regardless. Dude has had a rough first day of life, and even after hiding in this secluded part of the ship, the stupid human is still bugging him. Singing was Sigourney's idea, and it's totally believable as a way to keep her distracted. The first and only time we hear the alien in pain in this movie, and it's pretty dang satisfying. Not in a sadistic way, just, you know, the humans haven't had a great day either. Badass good girl. I mean, let's give her a few of those. Comeuppance? Can animals get comeuppance? I think xenomorphs can.
This is Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo.
Ridley still manages to take a somewhat successful happy ending and bleak the crap out of it. I love it to death. Alien launched an entire genre, and yet it still stands alone in many ways. The thing that still jumps out to me the most is how ordinary the entire crew of the Nostromo is. Similar to what made Die Hard so compelling, the people on the ship are just doing a job. Yeah, it's in space, they definitely have a level of astronaut training, and some of them are also enlisted, but it all feels normal for them and part of a day's work. There aren't any heroes on the ship in the beginning, just people trying to make sure they live long enough to get home and get paid what they deserve. Ripley's high tops always remind me really quick that she's just like some lady who ends up being a total badass survivor. But it's such a small cast, one weak link could make the entire thing fall apart. There isn't a weak link. Well, Brett might be a little slow, but Harry is an expert thespian. I don't want to rehash everything I've already said, but the atmosphere is still unbeatable. I have a very vivid memory of the first time I watched this movie. You know I'm not a horror guy, but even at 15 or 16, I knew this was just one of those classics that I had to see. It might seem quaint to younger audiences now, but the opening shot tour unnerved me. It's such a different type of tension. Throughout the movie, there's always this feeling that something sinister is lurking just around the corner, just out of sight. Expert writing, editing, and filmmaking all around. And would you believe that this was Ridley Scott's first movie? Nothing like hitting it out of the park on the first swing. Listening to him talk about Alien years later, it's impressive to hear the things he wanted to do way back in '79, like a relationship between Ripley and Lambert. Also, hearing about some of the alternate death ideas are hilarious. Lambert was initially supposed to die of fear in a locker. Ridley was also sort of bummed there was no sex in this movie at all, which checks out and explains Prometheus, I guess. But the funniest thing in the commentary is listening to EP Ronald Shusett, who wrote the original story with Dan O'Bannon, talk less than subtly about how much he hated the Ash twist. He called it the Russian spy.
I mean, who gives a rat's ass?
His main contention is that it doesn't change anything, and he's definitely not wrong. For Alien, but the rest of the universe is built off of it, so I'm glad it got put in there. We like lore, we like story and canon. I get why writers hate it, why Rick and Morty refuses to touch canon outside a few select episodes each season. I think there's a time and place for one-off movies with no connection to anything else, but sometimes I want to know who, when, where, why, and how. It gives me a sense of connection, vague feeling of accomplishment. Going into something knowing the events that all happened to make that story work, but I like it. Avengers Endgame is a confusing and weird movie about 8 million characters you don't know crying about 2 million other characters you don't know if you don't have the MCU prior. I think I'm preaching to the choir here. It was just a fun anecdote about how even the best of the best don't always agree on what makes a great story. I mean, don't get me started on the prequels. And look, I know a lot of you really, truly, deeply hate Prometheus. So come watch me pick apart my own Prometheus video and, drumroll, CinemaWins Everything Wrong with Prometheus video over on Nebula. That's right, it's time to do a little CinemaWins crossover that only I'm involved in with a reaction to one of their more popular videos. So that's 2 extra videos from me on Nebula, and all you have to do is sign up with my code and get 40% off an annual plan. And there's so many more reasons to join. The Getaway finale just dropped. It's a roller coaster of emotions and betrayals and YouTubers, Nebulans, Nebbers? There's also Jetlag Australia, and Identities is up and ready to be loved. I mean, Q is in it. Did you know that? The main man, John Delancey? I know, right? Anyway, lifetime memberships are still available, and there's so many amazing videos and movies and classes, also exclusive content from me, so check it out.
Ebola.
Ebola.